Oh, honestly, it's been proven to be a little difficult, just as she grows, my daughter. When she was younger, it was more manageable. But as she grew, she wanted to eat more, go out more clothes, things like that. Um, the balance of it all eh, is difficult, but we make do. The village helps sometimes, if you understand.
And so, what are some of the biggest financial challenges you may have faced while raising your child?
The biggest first thing that popped into my head would actually be like daycare. Because of course we need daycare so I can go to work so that I don't have to worry about. Um, well, I do worry about my daughter's well-being, but I don't have to worry as much knowing that she's at a facility with other kids being safe. And the more money you put into daycare, like the more like the services that that's provided. So and it's you got to put a lot of trust into people when it comes to watching your kid as well, especially when you're at work dealing with patients and things like that. So yeah, I would say the biggest would be daycare.
And is daycare, would you say, is pretty like expensive, or how does that play into
uh,
raising?
Daycare is expensive. Like I understand why, like some parents they find an alternative route because at the end of the day, bills do not stop because you can't find adequate daycare. Um, but it varies. The price varies from where you go, where you are, things like that. But um, yeah, and then too, my baby, she it seems as if like she goes into a new size every night. So it's like more clothes, more diapers, pull ups, things like that. So yeah.
And I guess, how do you prioritize spending on like healthcare, education, and other activities?
So I kind of listed to like to I guess my matter of importance. Like one, rent. I gotta have a roof over our heads. Then daycare, then electricity, and then like the other miscellaneous things like Wi-Fi, things like that, subscriptions. But mainly, I guess I focus my paychecks on like the bigger bills, and then that's when I have to like sometimes ask help from my mom in order to handle the smaller things. So yeah.
And so, how has your experience as a dental assistant influenced your approach to managing, dental care expenses as well? I don't know if you get dental for your daughter or child, yeah, for your daughter through here by working here. Does that help?
So I don't get dental through here, mainly because my status in this facility. Um, um, but when it comes to like dental assisting, I'm able to apply what I know for the adult patients to my daughter, and then also I take her to see her own pediatric dentist.
Okay. And what do you believe is most effective for budgeting and saving for your um, child's future needs?
Sorry, can you repeat that
Yeah.
for me?
I guess, what do you believe is more effective in budgeting and saving for your child's future needs?
Man, putting like having money automatically be taken out of your account before you can even calculate that for your bills, so that you have a fail-safe plan. You have an emergency fund because things would, especially with kids, emergencies pop up. Things that like you don't never expect to happen to you could happen to you, and then it's like, oh wow, okay, you gotta tap into that emergency fund. But it also provides a little less stress, a little less anxiety, worrying about the next month's expenses, or what happens for next month.
So, what advice would you give other parents who are trying to manage their financial while raising a child?
One thing I have to tell myself daily is that what I'm going through right now isn't my forever. Yes, I may be struggling now to pay this, but I know that come down the line, this one I'll have enough funds to cover this. You know what I mean, or even having more to splurge on going out with, taking my daughter to the zoo or to the aquarium, something like that. Having her experience things that kids should experience at some point in their like childhood. So it's just it's just a matter of having that strong mindset, that goal oriented mindset to tell yourself that this is not your forever. This is not your forever. Mm.
And have you noticed any changes in how families may approach budgeting or finance planning for their finances within their children for their children?
Um, I kind of what the answer to that popped up in my head was more so that I see parents make a lot of sacrifices for their kid, because the kids come first. Like, and so then I see some parents skipping lunch here just to make sure that the baby is sent to school with their food. It's just a lot of sacrifices that are made, so just keep in mind that everything will not be sunshine and rainbows. You're gonna see the storms. You're gonna see like the flood in it, and this is like the nitty gritty, like the dark. I don't say the darkness, but like the reality. Sometimes, yeah, yeah.
And what would you say, like, if you just want to give like an estimate of how much does it actually cost to raise a child?
Whew. Calculating all my expenses, over like $3,000 a month because the daycare, food, clothes, gas, electricity, rent, water. I mean, the list can go on and on and on because those are needs that kids need, in order to have like a nice solidified childhood, I guess you could say.
And are there any resources or support systems that are helpful to you in managing these costs?
Oh yes, yes. Especially with working here, I got exposed to a lot of organizations that helps with single parents, single families. There's some center in Lufkin that I attend, or even like here. Also, with the certain like government assistance, and I'm not just talking about like SNAPs or TANF. I'm also talking about the workforce solution, things like that. CCS helping with daycare costs, for parents. So there are resources out there. It's just people don't need to know where to look.